I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just eating. Priorities.
Okay. Anyway, I wanted to start by thanking y'all for the additional employee last year. It's been wonderful. They did a lot easier on everybody going upstairs, and we really appreciate that. So this year will be the final year for our light trucks, stay on our replacement schedule. This will be single cab F-150 half ton truck. This will be replaced my work truck. Did receive the original one here not too about 2 weeks ago, probably. Supply chain stuff has made getting trucks super difficult. So with all our schedule from a budget standpoint, but the season trucks we're far behind, but there's not really anybody to do about that. So the cost, when I have included a 10% contingency in this cost, that'll be $41,525 for that light truck replacement.
Please say it again, please.
41,525. I built that 10% in, just do every single year. We get these quotes at budget time, and we approve the budget, and just go to order the truck and prices increase.
So that's the cost of it, or that's the extra, or?
That's the cost with a 10% contingency. It's possible we can get it for under that, but that's what the amount I would like to budget for. Any questions about that? Painting town hall and the public works facility. And that's going to include painting the bay doors downstairs, washing both, pressure washing both facilities, fixing cracks in concrete, painting the bay doors, and then 2 coats of paint on both facilities, 23,500.
This one and that one over there.
If you think about that scope of service, I know that sounds like a large number, but I wouldn't pay it for that.
No, it doesn't sound like a lot. It's cheap. So, I know, well, we should probably talk about it later. Like a mural on the side of the building would be great too, on top of that, so. Anyways, that's not your part, sorry.
Greg, you
Jake.
Jake.
You take a look.
Mount Rushmore style, you know. Look. I have a question. So we're gonna get rid of a truck when you get a new truck.
We will eventually be I haven't been surplus in any trucks because of the difficulty getting the new truck.
Okay.
And old trucks are still, they're at the end of their service life, but they are still usable. So once we have replaced the entire light truck fleet, we'll look at surplus of the others.
Okay, so we'll get some of that one.
Yeah.
And it's talking about trucks, clearly not this cycle, but like the F-150s are now coming, the electric, the EV versions, and they're pretty cheap, the fleet vehicles. I don't know. Again, I don't want to, right now, I know you've got this all set up, but something to think about. They are definitely cheaper. Maintenance is cheaper on them, and they made it so they're not the fancy 50,000. They're like 30 grand or something like that, 35 plus. In Deficit Reduction Act, there are tax credits for I don't know. I mean, it's commercial, but I don't know if we wind up, we would qualify for that too. But just
it's 38 with the tax credits because I'm 32.
yeah. Oh, good. You got the numbers. Okay.
But that's not 4-wheel drive. You probably do 4-wheel
Yeah,
drive.
we absolutely have to have.
And if
Okay.
if you do 4-wheel drive, it bumps up, I think, a lot. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that the base one is for us to look.
It's probably not, but something to just think kind of, I want to get it in the hopper here. Thinking about it.
What is towing capacity like?
A ton. Oh my God, they're like freight trains.
Seat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next request is $11,000 for a 52-inch mower. Again, this is just keeping up with our replacement schedule. And we need to upgrade the diagnostic computers for our fleet maintenance. The code scanners that we use to scan repair codes for police vehicles are no longer the software that runs our current system is being phased out, so we're no longer able to do updates to that. Because of that, no longer able to scan our large trucks, and a lot of the newer police vehicles we're unable to scan as well. So that needs to be upgraded at a cost of $3,250. That is all I'm requesting.
Those your needs and wants.
So I would consider, yeah, that's everything.
So those are just kind of needs, right? It sounds like.
Given everything that Agent Lynn and Amanda said, I'm not submitting any wants.
Yeah, did you have some in mind? So,
Well,
that we
yeah.
can squeeze out of you?
Well,
I mean, it's good to anticipate them,
Yeah, it
because they
is,
might
yeah.
become needs in the future.
Yeah, an air compressor downstairs, our equipment lift runs on compressed air. Looking in the neighborhood of $3,200 for that. The current one is still serviceable, it's passing all of its inspections every year. But it's at the end of its life, we can squeeze, I feel confident we can squeeze several more years out of that. Snow equipment we've done quite a bit of work, new conveyor chains, new wiring harnesses, stuff like that, and our snow equipment, in the next several years, we'll need to look at replacing at least one salt bed. A tire balancer downstairs is still serviceable, but that's about an $8,000 machine. Tire mounting machine, excuse me, I said tire balancer, that's two separate.
Making you mark out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
We got play that I taught.
What was the snow equipment cost?
No, that.
Almost have to tear this off.
Sorry.
Okay, you finished eating, Mike's still eating. You want to go next?
Basics for us,
Needs first, please.
so. With inflation, what it is, everything costs unbelievably more than it used to, just a fast example. The little shiny belt that police officers wear for each belt used to be about $60, about 120. It's doubled in price. This is just one example of everything, especially when you get into a specialty. Even more than everything. Yeah, things are gonna cost more, so because of that, like Jay, I'm not asking. God, I want, you know. You need a police vehicle this year. Ford Interceptor. And I put it at about, real fast, so on July 1st, when we're eligible to order a car that's approved, the price also changes that same day. You don't get to know what the new price is gonna be until July 1st. That's why we're always saying the moving target. So I'm estimating that it'll be more than it was last year, of course, so with that vehicle at probably 43,000. And it'll be at 15,000. Everything is. This year we did save some money, we changed vehicle offenders because the one we had was having a lot of delays and. It was just. Thought we could do it cheaper, we actually found somebody that can do it cheaper. So, save some money on that, we'll probably use that same up into this year. As far as capital projects, that's the only thing we need this coming year. A want is, we just recently, we made the decision to take the workout equipment, we had a gym in PD, you've ever seen that? Really small, really. The local gyms here offer memberships for nothing to free for our officers, and they have a lot better equipment, a lot bigger rooms. So our gym wasn't really at all. And so this file project that I mentioned to you earlier is massive. I should have done it. I talked about printing out pictures just so you can see what it is. It's just floor to ceiling boxes. It's unbelievable. And it may take us forever. It's terrible.
Too much anxiety.
We're going to file the paper by paper. So problem is the way that was stored before here was over here in the LCD and even downstairs. And so we've got files that have been flooded a time or three. We've got files that are mildewy, they got mold in them. We've got, it just wasn't the best case scenario. And so we made the decision at our place that we're going to keep this in a temperature controlled, hopefully environment, keep it. So that room, we got an estimate from a company that come in to put in, I mean, professional shelving systems with doors, workspaces, and then office storage for files. And like that. So that room will be, the building is beautiful, but we're out of space. And so we have stuff piled up on top of it, up in closets, and, you know. We hope to have a facility where everything's got a place, you know where it goes. You know, somebody's trying to inventory on its expiration. So long and skinny of it is to refab that whole room is $20,000, but it's all. We'll keep the same floor that's in there now, and it's all turnkey. We don't work for Jake, just Jason thinking about. But these guys, the ability to come in and install this equipment, this furniture, put it in, and it's you know. So, can we do without it? We probably could, but will we? We're gonna have to do something with it at some point, sometimes. And I don't think it's gonna be any cheaper. So, but when it's done, it'll be, really we can use securable, all I say, it'll look extremely professional. I'll get you a picture here in just a little bit to show you what it's like, but it'll look amazing. And then the file storage is a general statute, it's a law. And years ago, things did not get done to the standard that they get done today. And so we found a bunch of problems from the 80s, the 90s, but the 80s and the 90s. And so because of that, thank you, John. Because of that,
1,000?
Yes, I got a text. Somebody walked in, can't hear.
So either way, we got, we'll pass around some of these photos for you real quick, just so you can get an idea what we're talking about. It's something that, it's got to be, it's a general statute that controls how we do these. This is what we're talking about. So like high quality. But the whole room would be like that, not just that. But statute requires how we handle this stuff, and to be honest, not just here, everywhere. You have to keep a file forever. It gets put wherever it can fit. And here it's been in that building where it's got moisture and all that kind of stuff, not the best case scenario. We just want to make sure that going forward, we're doing it the right way. And this is definitely, that's what we.
Does it have to be inside the building?
Scan it. We're having a long time just looking at it. So yes, you can scan it. But some things you have to keep the original documents, but some things you can't scan it. The scan will take a year.
Well, then moving forward with new documents getting sent, so you don't have to have additional storage space for it.
You can, as long as it meets the statute. The statute's got kind of fun. So you can't have digital copies. And a lot of stuff we're getting rid of. We probably had shredded. Deal is not gonna be fun, but we've had shredded because these are documents have people's social security numbers and that kind of thing. They can't just be thrown in the trash. And so shredded's probably taken 80 boxes. I guess it's say 80 boxes from our things so far, and we're still. So it's a huge project, but that's the goal. Really. Hopefully, at some point, we get to where. We're throwing out whole boxes of stuff because it's just something we already have a digital copy of. It meets the statute that it can. And so it's just a heck of a project and it's not fun. And I know why nobody's done it until now. It's terrible, but it's just something that's gotta be done. So to have the quality of police department. Following along. So, taking advantage of having interns and staff. to do that.
What else?
I was gonna say, can it be stored? Clearly, it doesn't have to be us. Like you could have these things. You could also have another storage facility or you can pay someone to store it kind of thing too.
Yeah, if you had the budget. So the thing is, we want to make sure that we're keeping some of these things. I've had, if you guys are familiar with the Innocence Commission is, I've had a chance to have a hearing with the Innocence Commission where they came out and I basically had to rework a 30-year-old homicide over again. There was no documents, all that stuff was, was not handled the right way back then. I don't want that to happen in the future where we're not ready for things stored. I want 30 years from now, when all of us are probably all long and gone, I'd like them to go ahead and pull out a drawer and there's everything that's in the house. Yeah, I do have one other thing, but it's not so much for. This is in the one category too. It's not so much for the police department on its own. It's really sort of a townwide thing. So when it comes to employee wellness, so I'm gonna take. There's a packet that's stapled and then there's one loose. Take that.
Yeah, just pass that one that way. I'm sorry, I should have.
Okay, great. Either way, so talking about employee wellness real quick. If you guys don't know this, police officers now they're losing their life to their own gun above and beyond other people's gun. They can't actually get on the side and they're getting killed on duty. And both sides up, I think we see it all the time. So we have the Employee Assistance Network here.
Natalie, do you have one?
We have that here available to employees, so it's not like we don't have anything at all. But there's some stigma that kind of goes with that. I'll just tell you, as a police officer, but honestly, whether you're a police officer or not, you don't want your coworkers to know you're having trouble. You don't want them to know that you're getting some kind of help. That's something you want to be private. And so there is a big push, it has been for years in law enforcement for agents to do something for your people, for their mental well-being. And EAN is definitely an option that will help if you take advantage of it, but it's not something that's real popular with people, especially if they send you somewhere right here in Sylva.
For self-referrals.
Yeah. So what this is called Portico. The company, we already pay a company called Lexipol. That is who manages our police policies. And when we run our policy manual, that's the company that we use to do that. And they help maintain it and keep it updated. They bought a company called Portico. Portico has, and stay with me because at first mention of this, it sounds a little weird until you do some reading and you find out it's a lot better than the initial idea sounds, but it's phone app based wellness program. So if you look at this little packet I gave you, you see the goals right here on the front sheet. That tells you that, and turn to the next page, and then here are the tools and self-assessments and stuff like that. It'll give you a lot more information, but basically this app gives an employee a way to research things, actually live, like talk to somebody if they want to, real time, whenever something's going on. It offers support in a bunch of different ways, and not just the employee though. If this is something that the town decides to spend the money on, the employee and their family gets membership as well. So that people that live in the house also can download this app and have the same tools. So you guys were able to find just right there. You look down through there, you'll see the different aspects that it'll do. But for me personally, like I can get on Google and find out something about mental health. So I need that person. But the difference is this is customized. It would be built for the town, so we actually have local referred people. Like we can set up an appointment in Waynesville with this particular professional for you. Like it's catered more it's built for here, but it's completely private. Like there's no way anybody's going to know. that you reached out for help on this situation.
And this would be for all of our employees, not just the police
All
department.
Yeah, fire department, it would be for everybody. Yeah, and it would be, I think take your page back. But the thing is, it's private and it's got somebody on there and there are already hotlines out there, that kind of thing. This one's just a little bit more custom to you. It does like self check-ins, that kind of thing. So if you reach out, if you let them know that I'm having some struggles with this or that, then they comes back to you. So fast story, we had recently had, not too long ago anyway, we had a police officer that was having some troubles with some things. And he said, I've just, I could tell he needed something and I offered, hey, let's get you to EA and let's get you somebody to talk to other than me. And, and you could see it, on their face. It's like, how am I gonna do that? I'm probably lucky that I even got to have that conversation. This is somewhere that conversation could have happened and nobody would ever, it's just a powerful tool. I think your younger generation is gonna really grab a hold of it. And then maybe older folks too. But so, just a fast little story. I remember reading a suicide note once, that the end of it said, I've tried to reach out to people. I can't get anybody on the phone. And then it said, it's next to death. So just because people didn't answer the phone. So that's what sticks in my head. The cost of this is, I think low for to serve our entire employees and then also their families. To build it, and the first year is right at $6,000. And then to maintain it yearly, is $3,000. And so when you think about a wellness program that involves other places like that, to me, that doesn't seem, I don't know. We're just talking about paying, was it $3,000 for somebody that do an actuary study for us every year on a certain thing, just one thing. It's $3,600 yearly and $62.99 for the first year. So, and that's the setup where they get all the local people involved. And somebody could have to get with them and tell who we recommend, who the health insurance is through, build all that stuff. But it's $36 a year after that. Again, for me, I would list this as a want. We already have EAN that's already there. This is just something that I felt like it was good enough to bring up in public and say this is an option that we have through a company that we already use. Lexipol is outstanding. Everything we do with them is top notch. So I think it's coming probably fall right into since day one. But either way, if you've got questions, I've got a lot more information. That packet right there, if you want to do that, it's got lots of information in there too. Just for me as a leader, especially in law enforcement, if we were to have an employee commit suicide or even something bad happen, mental health wise, I just want to be able to, I want to know I did everything I could to try to prevent that from happening. And I feel like the biggest stigma that comes from mental health is other people know.
Yes, I think that's a good option. And it's a different program from what is, a mandatory referral.
But it's a very different study than what we just talked about with retirement,
Which is not a choice.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I tried. Hey, you're right. I was just, the reason why I said that was just the call, just try to in the town budget.
Would volunteer, our department members have access? Or just paid staff?
We gave them the number 36, I think, is that?
that would be paid staff.
But the thing is, the first book I got was just from the police department. And I don't remember being, I don't remember adding some people to it. I don't think it makes it go up exponentially. I think that's something that's interesting. If I could add it up, it would be more than 60. The initial bill would be a little more. I don't think it's double.
Does that number include the board?
No,
That's
not
what the
employees.
board costs.
Anyway, like I
You
said,
talk to Cindy Carlisle about it? this program?
Uh-huh.
This is something that she
No,
recommended.
she's actually, I've got to call her today anyway, so that's. Like I said, I'm not, I don't, it's a want, not a need. Just saying, it's an option out there. It's something that's, it's hard to be truly confidential. And it is, but I'm saying, it just still, you don't feel like it is. It's not.
So we have like this kind of resources at Western.
This,
Like it's similar, if there's something wrong, there's places you can go, so there's definitely the support. I was wondering if maybe if this is a small portion of our, a remainder of our American Rescue funds.
So, let me interject here just a second. Lynn and I were talking, our League of Municipalities has an annual grant cycle that we can apply for wellness related initiatives. And it's up to $2,500 per grant cycle. So I don't know if some of you were here several years ago when we did watches for all of our employees. We had to go through a certain set of whatever. They've really become stricter on what's allowed, but it looks like that we could at least apply for that, and that could cover your initial setup cost if we could get that in here.
That's a great idea.
or some of it.
It's $2,500. So if your initial, almost all of your, if it's 6,000, that's really 3 and 3. That's what it looks like. It's going to be $3,000 going forward. But
Well, let me be clear. I think if you guys decide this isn't the right thing to do, it doesn't mean that you don't think it's that the whole thing's a good idea. I'm just saying it's an option out there. It's coming from a place of trust, because Lexapro is becoming it is top notch anything they do. So there's a lot of trust in the company.
So just as a side note, like, just as a gauge of like the happiness factor of our employees, like this, do you think that people are satisfied working with the PD and with the public works, or the morale good?
I've had some people tell me that our morale is the best it's been. I think for the police department, we've had some culture change. Not that it was a bad culture before, it's just a different culture now. And then we've had some people that wanted to do things the older way. And so they places where they could do it the older way. But the people that are here now, when they got hired, they knew exactly what they were getting hired for. And then you changed the way our hiring. It's a lot more individuals focused now, different from I'm gonna give you a job and that's it. So we're fully staffed. I don't know if another department is fully staffed. We just lost one to the sheriff's office for a new sheriff. If I only lose one, it's pretty good. It's not bad. And we had somebody in the waiting who moved here to work. That's been so. All signs point to everybody's happy. Sometimes people grieve lost.
I think overall, we've had a bit of a culture shift in the past 4 years as well. We've also had some kind of an age demographic change. I've had older guys retire and I've backfilled those positions with younger people. Kind of the best and worst thing about the work that we do is the diversity. It can be very stimulating and it can also be very frustrating. I mean, yesterday afternoon, I was turning wrenches myself. But that does, especially the younger guys, they get to see a huge variety of things. They may be working on cars, they may be digging ditches, they may be mowing, they may be laying block, building, basic carpentry work, pulling wires, plumbing, hauling a cat sculpture, moving Harriet Tubman. To this day, that's the most stressful thing I've ever done. And it's, I didn't want to drop Harriet, but no, and the wire structure from maintenance technician, senior maintenance technician, mechanic, crew leader, public works director. The younger guys do have mobility. One thing about a younger department is that the junior members, the way we do it is the newest 2 staff members are on the back of the trash truck. And I try not to keep those guys trapped there for years on end because that job is miserable and there's no way to make it non-miserable.
Right.
But the other 3 days of the week, we try to get them on machines, we try to get them in big trucks, you know, so I feel like morale's very good downstairs. Back up real quick and say something that I forgot. To mention, next year will be the year that we have to buy 3 police vehicles in 1 year. And we plan for, you know, I'm right here, the replacement schedule, all the way out to 35, 36 on police vehicles. And in the next 5 years, we'll have big capital purchases for garbage truck, boom truck type stuff too. So not this year, but keep it in your minds for the future as well.
And then when we buy those, are they like the fire? Like the fire trucks, we don't, we put them, we get a loan, we don't have to, we don't have to buy those in 1 year, like a garbage truck.
In the past, we haven't made a giant capital purchase like that since I've been here, but I believe we've done cash installments and some financing in the past.
Yeah.
So we'll like appropriate 60,000 1 year, appropriate 60,000 the next year, the year of the purchase and guess what? Big trucks have gone way up in price, just like everything else.
For sure.
So, I mean, the boom truck, like our brush truck, you're probably looking at $250,000.
But that one's still got a few years in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. But just keep in mind,
Yeah.
those fire trucks are not the only $250,000 trucks.
Yeah.
That was it.
Right.
But so for me, that's the reason why I'm gonna put, I just, those are what's not needed, so. Can I list out stuff, with Jake and I could sit here and write you up this all day, but I know that my budget is gonna come in higher than it usually does because of inflation. The same thing about last year's about, you know, this year's gonna cost more. But I know it's coming in with all the reasons.
Okay, looking at administration, so I think we have a need to make the Main Street director a full-time position. But I think the only way to do that is with a tax increase. After hearing what we have coming up. So that's why I'm going to list it as a want. But I think in order to do that, since it would go to the whole towns, there needs to be some business and economic development associated with that. And Bernadette is doing a lot of that with workforce with Main Street, but I think looking at how our local small business economy is going to change moving forward, that there is a need to put a person in that role. So I'm going to add this as a want. Because if you put dots on it, it means that you are willing to consider that with a tax increase. Our budget just can't pick up a full-time position without doing that, without a mechanism to fund it long-term.
And I think, the 107 corridor there is going to be more Main Street stuff that I think will be more, ideally, will be more small businesses. It's going to be easier to walk to it and get there. And so it's going to change the character. Hopefully it'll be character more similar to the downtown. But it's going to, and hopefully more businesses and small businesses and stuff. So I agree, it'll be a bigger job too.
And the cost for that is $50,000. Do we have other administrative needs and wants? And Amanda? Have you got anything else, Bernadette?
Any major support?
Okay. Fire department.
I'm gonna go easy on you too. One thing we need to do probably in the upcoming years is replace the first responder vehicle that might take that. 2012 model, and a lot of miles on it. So I've actually already written it into my budget, that I'm gonna propose $7,000. Cover the cost of that, that's buying the truck and outfitting the truck. To do the job it does, we can pay for the farm. Second thing I'd like to see in this coming year. Also gonna be in the proposed budget is the repaint of the inside of the building. 11 years old now. Repainted the beige this past year and done some work on the outside, the cleaning and inside and stuff like that. That's probably going to run about $20,000 based on what it costs to the outside. That's all I like to do this coming year. Once category, which major money on trucks. We won't have to replace one of our pumpers probably the next year. Notice in our fund balance, we have quite a bit of fund balance, so that will be go towards that. It's probably going to be $400,000 to $450,000. That will be the 4-wheel drive pump.
But that's a need. That's not one.
It
Yeah,
will be.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's coming probably next year, not this year. Like I say, if you noticed in our fund balance, we were talking about it earlier, we're pretty good shape there, so we should. We'll have to finance some of it, but not all of it. Which I want to be the whole staff. We do want to add, on straight over trying to add, obviously inside 4 people next year, not this coming. Started 23, 24 years. Because like I mentioned to y'all in the meeting that night, county payment will be gone as far as the county's concerned. Ladder truck payment already is gone. We can add that together and it will take just a little bit more money with that. I'm thinking about 40,000 if I got to figure out to hire those extra people. The county so far have agreed to leave that money in our budget. Still, like, agree with the ones I have talked to tonight, so that's what we're going with that.
All right, board needs and wants. Just do them at the same time and you can tell me if it's a need or a want.
Go first.
you go first.
So the Main Street full-time economic development director or Main Street director, like you said, would be at the top of my list. I would put that more in a need category than want, but I want so we can vote on it and see what the board thinks. But yeah, I think, Vern, you've more than proven your value. It's incredible what you've done as a part-time employee, and your engagement of the downtown business community has been incredible.
Yeah.
And expanding that to like a full-town economic development director position, or however y'all decide you want to define that, with the 107 changes coming up. I think it would be critical to have someone in that role full-time, to have you in that role full-time. I think even if you manage to keep one business, in city limits, to get them to relocate and work with the people that are facing relocation 107, that's more than enough to justify the need. So I put that at the highest. I'll just do one at a time if someone else wants to. Okay, so I'm not just going through a long list.
Are we gonna do our, like, ones, are we rolling over from last year? Yeah, like what we had done in the past, we rolled over the needs and wants from the year prior. Or like the board wants that were unfunded and stuff like that. Are we just gonna go?
Okay, let's go with these.
Yeah, okay. Reset.
Yeah.
So, okay, Mary, sorry, if you want to go online or Amanda, I just sent you a couple pictures. Would you mind pulling up them?
Yes, let me.
You got it, if that's not too bad, or someone, while she does that, maybe someone else wants to go.
I could just say the one I would like to see happen, and I have written our county commissioners. I'm interested in the metal building at Mark Watson Park being relocated and a state park going in that vicinity. I've reached out to all the commissioners. I have not gotten feedback from any of them except for one. So I'm going to continue to pursue that, but I do think that there's a need there for that kind of avenue, something in the recreation field at Mark Watson Park in that space. It's not its intended use right now. And I would love for the county commissioners to maybe have the foresight to look into another location for that, so that this could happen.
Is there a budget number to attach to something like that? Is that more just a priority thing to put on the list?
I've spoke to several people about it, and I know that it's currently used in the sheriff. I think that's the knowledge, and I think that the space is smaller than their needs. And so I don't know any of the approximations of what like additional bays would cost. And then if they have property, maybe you could speak to that, if they have any flat properties that might be.
It doesn't sound like it's no money for us for that, just like
Yeah,
here's something to work on.
I would just love for them to consider that so that we could consider that.
To do this, move the skate park forward.
And then, like everything, it would take.
All right, so here I go with my obsession. So I had asked, well, it was March last year. Well, Jake put I asked Jake for a few of these signs and he put them in and it was great, right? At Grindstaff. And then on the other side, just at Middle Street there, you can't see it. There's already a couple, one's been stolen, I think, but
We got run over.
it got run over, yeah. So these things, he said we could do it out of the budget. I think I brought it up in the, in one of our sessions, and we said we could do it out of this budget. And then it turns out that we can't. It might need extra money. So this is, I don't know how much these things cost. I just kind of threw these out as like, I started putting up just so everyone could see it. I did a little Photoshop of what they would look like in other spots. And then it sounds like something has changed with DOT rules. Chief and I had talked about that, where you could actually put one in the middle of the road down at Innovation, one that get run over regularly, but still they do make ones that can get run over regularly. So I guess, and this is one of my definitely wants, I don't know how much these things cost. And so
About $600.
they're 600. Wow. How much were those other when you first bought them?
$215-ish.
So yeah, so I don't know how many we could do. And this is what I was bringing up today. If we could do something, that grant money from that we were talking about earlier for that, but it is definitely, I think, worthwhile. And instead of we can be strategic about these, there's what'd you say there? How much are there now? 600? Okay, so there's $1,800 worth. So we can, we don't have to have that many. And I don't know what the magic number is, but to make these crosswalks, these replace the basically to replace the pylons. Yeah, this was another one down. Because I think it's really important. That's a pretty good intersection because of the light there. There's already a light, which is more helpful, but the one in front of Innovation and then the one at Mill and Main, like cars are just driving through there. So, and there's a lot going on. So those would be like my priorities. So I don't know how much to put there. I don't know how many signs we need. I don't know.
Why don't we just put crosswalk safety, and then before the next work session, let me
Okay.
research how many we need and where they would go, and we can put an exact dollar figure on it.
Great. Okay. Cool. Thanks. And then
Mark out again.
what?
Probably mark out again.
Sorry. And then I got another one, but we'll circle back around.
Thank you.
Amanda,
Sorry.
I said thank
Oh,
you. I just wanted, I'm always talking about these things, but I just wanted all of us to see what they look like. Yes. Wasn't that hard, actually.
I'm gonna pass out these needs and wants from last time, or from the ones that are frequently listed by the board. These cost figures haven't been updated, but in case you want to revisit those as we're looking at this.
Anybody else got one to throw out?
Well, I mentioned it and about the grant, it's crosswalk improvements, not just these little signs, but the actual in the road, higher contrast, higher reflective paint material. And I would think all through downtown, they would need to be touched up, and I would say like $500 per, about 10, so it's probably about 500.
I was going to say, I mean, I think I'm wrong, but they could approve a chunk of money to designate for crosswalk safety.
Yeah, well,
Products.
that's kind of what I asked them, so I'm hoping
Yeah, totally. And like the ones, because I get going out of Bryson City all the time, so their crosswalks are really, I should have a picture of them, but they're really neat. They're like, they paint them, they're like red and they do the kind of stamping of the brick, but we don't do that, because I know it's an issue. But the red with them like white lines around, they look really nice. And it's not just how it is, they actually look real nice.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah.
Of course, have lots of thoughts about what they're gonna look like.
Yeah.
But when we got guidance from DOT about this issue, as long as you're doing something that creates more contrast than there's there. Black versus white. And black versus gray, the higher contrast would be black, so.
Yeah.
Outlining in black. That would also make it more decorative.
For me? I don't know, I think I've mentioned this last year at some point. It's kind of like I guess a small thing, doesn't really cost a lot of money, but it's a way for the board to communicate with the citizens. I know we all talk to people as we like, I don't know, sometimes it feels like people don't really understand what we do, even at like the base level. Like I still have people ask me if they can come to meetings and not knowing that they can just show up to meetings. And I think that's a big thing for getting people. I think the more the community is engaged with like government and stuff, the better we all are. And I don't know what that really looks like. I know in the past I've mentioned like postcards or some kind of way to like communicate. I just like to see the board be able to really reach out there.
If you want me to put that on here.
Citizen communication.
Communication.
So this is kind of just jumping in, this is kind of what I was talking about, like our priorities, the non-budget priorities kind of thing. So like this kind of goes in, because that's not gonna cost money, right?
I mean, it could, it depends on how you want to
Yeah,
approach it.
And
Like,
like, yeah, it could be like better social media.
Okay.
But that's what I was trying to parse it out a little bit.
I would be moved away from social media.
That's a good
but
point.
I was thinking like, postcards,
I don't
that
have-
there's a cost associated.
Yeah, yeah,
Postcard or
yeah.
something.
I was thinking maybe a bipolar or something like that.
Yeah, like-
Announcing everybody.
Yeah, because we have access to all the people's addresses. I would love to see something go out like quarterly maybe, or like something that right now I don't really feel like.
Has done that before, with newsletters.
Full page Sylva Herald. Once in a while, that's what we're doing.
I think we've established.
Oh, yeah, sorry. We're the only ones that read it.
One of the things that I have on here, it's not really a physical want or need, but just a budget priority. When you look at that, the cost of living increase in the last year, and we just spent, money with our salary study and getting our employees up to a comfortable level. And I would just want to make sure that we prioritize having a significant COLA in this upcoming budget cycle. That will, so it will help with, employee retention. We up that as much as we can with a significant level, so where we don't end up paying people less. Which they cost of living less. One thing to keep in mind that is going to come up is that master plan that Nickel Park Foundation is going to do. We'll probably, so we're applying for grants for that, and we're pretty sure we'll get the grant funding, but there will be some matching amount. We're thinking probably low, though, like $10,000-$20,000.
I think we already budgeted 20 for it.
Oh, we did budget for the master plan already. Pretty sure we did last. Wasn't the mechanical survey that we did?
So
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it'd be Pinnacle Park funds anyway, so it wouldn't impact our budgeting numbers, but that is That would be coming up.
Back around again.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Greg, skip Greg.
That's my turn.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I don't see the entry sign on here from last year. Did it not make it to our? Did I not say that last year?
I'm all about entry. I was driving by there yesterday. I'm like, where is that entry sign? I'm serious.
I want an entry sign for coming from.
Match the one at the courthouse.
I don't think so. I think this one should match it in style, like with the columns, like it is, but this one over here not have all of the medallions and just have a large sign that says welcome.
So but it was Public Works that built that one. We probably for this year would not have the time to do that, so I went in contract.
We did everything but the rock work on the old one, and we did it with the county municipal grant. And that would have been the 19 budget cycle. We did that for about 7,000 with the rock work and the medallions, and my staff did. Of course, the high school made the logo. And me and my staff laid the block, poured the slab, and then refabbed up all the mountain hardware. I need to do some pricing, and I would also need to know materials and stuff like that. And frankly, it would be more expensive, but push real hard to contract that. It's with Allen Street, the restroom, Bridge Park, everything else is just gonna put a strain on my department.
Yeah, me too.
Greg,
I could-
pull our application and just go back to Public Works application.
I'm getting to that part. I would be willing to maybe look into a donation of the steel and the cutting of the steel.
Okay.
So, the other part, the wire work, and the laying the block and stuff like that, so. But, I would be willing to look into, finding the steel and cutting the sign for us.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a significant cost savings, I think. Then a sheet of 3/16 plate steel 4x8 was like $1,300. I haven't priced it lately, but more exploration is needed for sure. Priority will make it happen.
Number am I writing down here?
I would write 10.
I have another one.
I have another one too. Can I go?
Go ahead.
So one is the Landis ramp. Yeah, at the end of Landis, coming up from the market there. We talked about that before, and we talked about doing a big ADA study of the whole town, and I think that I'm not against ADA study, but I think that it's just this is like something that people use all the time, and an ADA study could take who knows how long. But having a ramp there so parents can push their kids up, their strollers up, have a safer place to stand, would be really important. And I was just thinking the counters, did the town own the Pinnacle part? Who owns those, the trail counters?
It was a grant from, I think the TDA.
TDA.
Yeah, they got them for Pinnacle Park. Pinnacle Park installed them. I assume.
I've been operating under the assumption that they're the foundation.
Foundation, yeah.
Oh, so the foundations, okay. But anyway, so just like, how do you count? We could thinking, is there some way to count the number of people who go through that?
I think it's just trail counters are different.
Yeah, okay, but anyways, but a lot, I know, I don't have numbers, but lots of people use those, and when you're queued up on the Bridge Park side, it's it's tough because you gotta stand such a small little platform, you have to stand, if there's a lot of people, you gotta stand on the steps, it's more visibility. So anyways, that's a big,
What if we just took it out? Force people to the crosswalks on either side. They can go up to Mill and Allen or go down to Landis. I mean, not Landis, excuse me, Grindstaff and Mill.
I don't know, that's good.
Because it's not ADA compliant.
I know.
It was still either with disregard for the ADA or before the ADA.
Yeah, exactly.
It's smack dab in the railroad right away.
I know.
There's a lot of things wrong with it.
Yeah,
Well, that might be incorporated into that redo of that landing area, the bathroom, right?
Yeah, we did talk
You'd be
about,
pushing people down towards that crosswalk.
we talked about value engineering the bathroom so that it has that accessibility issue last year.
yeah, I mean, there's always the thing, if you took it out, right, would people still cross? I mean, that's actually, I mean, we'd have to move those, that's the one that's got the activated sign, crosswalk signs and everything too. Yeah, I guess if we took it out.
Because that one gets enough sun.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, anyways, we took it out, there's always the thing, would people still cross anyways, then it's even worse, but.
Be less likely to if they had to shimmy up the bank.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't be coming up, they might be coming down, so, yeah.
So one thought for this category on our list is, and then we talked about this in the past, we find a new spot kind of regularly to focus pedestrian efforts on. And it's probably about time, especially if we're not using our pedestrian plan, to maybe update it. So maybe instead of targeting a specific area, this might be a good time to. How much did that plan cost the first time?
So we got a DOT grant for it. And I don't remember what the town's portion was, but I've been on the lookout for those the next time they're available. It's been 10 years, so we're eligible again.
Right.
We are still using the plan, but I think the costs definitely need to be included or updated. Plus take out the sections that have been built and lost my train of thought. That was important.
Maybe emphasize ADA compliance and crosswalk safety.
And look at our sidewalk ordinance in it.
Yeah.
And prioritizing the areas besides the road.
So would you be okay with that being on the list instead of a particular single?
Well,
spot?
it's just, or do we temporarily close that down too? I mean, it's just, that's really high usage, especially with the market, with the market, so.
No, you want to close
Yeah.
something down that you.
I know.
That
I know,
works.
I know. Or,
And we're having
yeah, I mean, I.
talks with a lease that has been in negotiation a long time.
Yeah, okay. I just really, I want to make that little area, that's fine, safer for folks, it's just so hard. So, I just feel really strongly about that particular thing, just because it's such high use, especially on the weekends. And, that goes to our main parking spot. If we're gonna have folks come and park at Bridge Park and then walk into town, they're gonna go, that's where they all go, so. I'm happy to kick around other thoughts about it, but I just wanted to get it on there. Like, it doesn't have to be a ramp. I mean, whatever it is, so,
It will have to be a ramp.
yeah, I'd be a ramp, I know. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, what do we do? I want a ramp, ideally, a nice ADA compliant ramp, but are there other ways to improve it without that, until we could do that or whatever? But not wait until it's part of a bigger study, because I think we need that like yesterday.
So one of the things that I had on the list was for, when we talk about the depot bathroom, we're talking about the cost of a building right there and the pad that it sits on and the infrastructure, but what about the area around it, the infrastructure around it, the landscaping, like we haven't budgeted for that. And I feel like, that falls within that footprint, I feel like, right? Doesn't it?
This is land.
Oh, am I thinking of the wrong one?
Yeah.
I'm thinking the one right next to the Spec Street takeout.
Yeah, no, that one's
Oh,
great.
that's the one
It's like our
that's-
best.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, on the land, it's okay. never mind.
Right there, there's that staircase. going straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, anyways, and I just want to have that on the list. You know, it's not going to solve the problem right now, but that is like one of my big ones.
Got it. And on that, for the communication, I want to write outsource beside of that because I don't think staff can pick that part up.
It's a lot of envelopes and stuff.
Sure. Add another one or not?
You're not sure?
Well, our issues denied, and I'm not sure if they're gonna revisit it or not. Maybe, if not, if they don't like the idea of the murals on Mill and Public, it's $3,000.
Amanda? Oh,
Oh, $3,000 for my murals on Mill project, which is 3 rotating murals on Mill Street. Throughout the year, it would be something like $800 for the artist, and we have some money set aside for some paint.
At one point, we had an art fund, we still do.
So what? Sorry.
Don't we have an art fund of some sort?
Yes, that'll be on your next, consent agenda. It's got $3,179 in it.
Hesitant to use that so much.
But do you think that
It's
it
taken a
would,
long time to get that money, and I think that some of that money is earmarked for skate.
just was curious if that might get momentum and excitement to much.
Yeah, that was probably a good time to ask for donations.
Oh.
A lot of publicity around that.
yeah. Someone already talked to me about like doing a GoFundMe.
I would love to do it,
Yeah.
that's totally fine, but I also want to just make it clear that like that's something that this board is a priority for this board, and we tried one avenue and. Just want to make sure that it gets done. Cool, it's fine, if we want to do a GoFundMe, I'm sure that we will.
So it'd be better if people would make those donations to the town because of the percentage that GoFundMe takes.
What is it? How high?
15%, I
Wow.
think. It might depend on the donation, but
So maybe that could be reported on. You know, let's go a different route, and here's what we're suggesting.
I still want to see what happens with the county.
Yeah.
Like sort of the ball in their court right now, whether they fund the thing,
Yeah.
so.
They seem to be a little more, from what I read in the paper, they seem to actually be a little more understanding about what's going on and.
Well, I hope so, and I
Yeah,
hope they see the
please
value
do.
in it and all the stuff that I said, but like.
We have also, in the past, when we set up that art fund, talked about a recurring donation by ourselves into it. By the town, budgeted like $5,000 that we put into an art fund each year into that art account. I mean, that's something you can definitely add for a warrant. I would vote for that. Recurring contribution into the art fund from budget.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Need a motion?
Hey, $5,000 for the.
how about that?
I know.
I kind of want to tag off of what you just said as a want. As you're going up Spring Street, the lane is blocked out. Needs something. But I was very concerned about making it something permanent because you may need a road again. And I wonder if there's any creative art way where we could have some sort of fencing or something where maybe fancy cars get pulled in for concerts on the creek night that you could look at. Or maybe a double-decker bus that's not used to be driven could be there with murals on it, but just something that's temporary and attractive that could be rotating to make our town look nicer.
You can, I don't know if you guys have ever seen those things, but if you have those perspective paintings in the road that make it look like they're like
A waterfall.
waterfalls with huge holes,
Yeah.
like imagine driving by that space and looking there and seeing like this giant nature scene, it's painted from that
Our
perspective.
art space.
Um, So that like, again, I'm trying to, our non-budgetary kind of things. I know, and that's why I'm trying to like create this new thing because it's so hard because there's these budget wants we're actually planning on spending money on, and then these other things we'd love to do that we'd have to find funding for. They're not going to come out of. That's kind of what I was going with, and that's what I was thinking for that too. Like, what can we do there? And then when we're all here to have a nice discussion about that. But not that we're going to actually pull money this year out of our budget.
I mean, in light of what we've been told, recession,
Yeah,
existing properties, I think this is a creative opportunity
totally.
for us
Yeah.
to utilize our wants in a different way that's not asking for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Doing some.
Yeah, I mean, like planters instead of those bollards that are there. I mean, we could have, you could just set some nice big planters every few feet that would keep cars clearly from going in there. But there wouldn't be those like, I'm a big fan of bollards, but not those white ones necessarily.
This way to revive Jake.
It would take like
I know.
30 minutes for somebody to drag those up into the.
Oh, okay, yeah, but anyways, but that's something like that, yeah. And then have a seating area, you can sit up there. What else?
Got a question for Jake. We're talking about the Bradford pears in the Ritz lot. Would you need to budget replacement trees?
Yeah, it wouldn't be a significant, well. Depending on the size that we went back in, I'm glad you mentioned that because those Bradfords are causing a lot of trouble with that French drain. It catches Greg's aware of the water that runs out in there.
I'm aware.
You
I had
know,
to pay her. Do you want to hear my art project?
no, yeah, and given changes in ordinance. To go back and replace with natives, I'd like to do a variety of flower and dogwoods. They don't get big. They have seasonal color interest. They're decent street trees. It's the state tree. I don't know, can't come up with a reason anybody would have a problem with dogwoods. Yeah, and they also aren't a huge root system issue like the Bradfords are. So when we take those trees out, I'd like to take that opportunity to repair that drain. We've been jetting it. It's getting harder and harder and harder to jet because of the roots that are in it currently. We've been having to borrow Twass's jet machine to do that. I would think $2,000. And that's a high estimate.
I would really think we want to consider not planting any more trees back there because that is a really beautiful rock face. It's a really beautiful landscape and that just in that little tiny thing, you've got 25-foot face of exposed ledge that you can clear off and it would be a really lovely little, maybe
Kind of the unwritten policy is we try to, if we ever take out a tree, to replace it with a tree. And we are a tree city.
The trees are great. I like things.
I'm
Like
okay,
cement?
but
Yeah.
it's this case.
Well, and like you got to think when you design a landscape like that, you need to think long term. And a perfect example is at the Bridge Park where those trees are all growing together. They're kind of mismatched and they were planted too close. So when the landscape matures, you need to plan it for how it's going to look at maturity. Now, I'm not saying plant thumb-sized dogwoods out there. I'm talking 2 or 3 caliber size trees. And that's not really a huge deal. People do get upset when you take trees out, but I don't think anybody's going to be terribly upset about losing those Bradfords.
Well, I'm definitely not, but I'm like, I would advocate for trees. I love trees. I'm like, of course, but I'm just saying with this particular landscape, I think it would serve us better. And not just because it would be prettier, but because tree roots are growing into that drain.
Yeah, it's undermining the infrastructure.
And like, this is why we lost our maple trees on Main Street, because that was the issue. So like,
That's the wrong tree.
there's
It might be bad street trees.
Yeah, I know, but we lost that. And they got planted with a non-indigenous species. So like, I'm very reticent about like the discussion about the trees. I understand where you're coming from. So there's about 2 reasons for not planting trees.
Well, either way,
Put $50,000 on
Yeah.
that for your mediation and potential replacement.
to be determined.
Well, and yeah, they're doing like Mike mentioned with Bradford.
Yeah, I mentioned at the board meeting. Yeah, the bounty, they call it.
I'm coming down tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but they'll pay you to.
And that drain runs underneath the pear trees that are.
It actually kind of follows the contour of that bed. And so but the roots haven't stayed in the bed, so when we take the trees out, I can dig the roots out and then put the
So
drain back in.
rapid fire round. Okay, so rapid fire, the rest of your priorities out with a number on them. Rapid fire, you don't gotta explain everything about it. Yeah, okay. Go down your bullet, we won't do one at a time, just go ahead, you wanna go first? Go out the rest of yours.
Oh, well, yeah, the spring, that's spring, redoing, spring,
Got
spring half, we already got that, so good.
Good.
All right, I'll leave it. I do like the bubble.
Yeah,
You like the what?
the bubble on the pool.
Bubble. Anything? I mean, some of these you gotta mention just so they don't die.
Don't get an idea you're not gonna put a dot on.
Okay, all right.
Don't-
All right, never mind, I'm not gonna die.
Do you want a full bubble on there still or not?
No.
Okay.
You know that.
I don't think it would be a bubble and. I think it would be like a Timber frame.
Prism.
Glass.
All right. Anything you like?
One other one, and it was on the top of like, we were talking about art, and I think I've mentioned this before. Is a giant Sylva like sculpture, like the letters that spell out Sylva. Like I would love to see one of those around town somewhere, because like people go on these like tropical vacations and take pictures in front of these that spell out wherever they are. I think I've seen them around the United States too, but like I think it'd be really cool. Piece of art,
That would be a commission.
yeah.
So what do you think cost would be?
30,000.
You want to just maybe, you want to combine that with did you put on there like a recurring contribution into the Sylva Art Fund?
I mean, you're talking
I did
about
put that in there.
somebody sculpting those letters.
Just, I mean, just not that like, like 6-foot letters. Spell out Sylva.
He knows his art.
Yeah, public works can do that, we'll do.
You don't have time.
Yes.
Yeah, I know they're gonna be made out of something that's permanent.
You don't have capacity.
Probably be intense to, we'd have to hire an artisan that's done something like that before. You'd have to pour a pad to support it. Paint it or whatever. That said, though, the entry sign into Sylva is pretty tired, the one with the dog went on it, like it's.
See, that'd be a
tired.
perfect place to have it. So like,
Move that one to Dillsboro.
yeah.
Heck, you gotta, you would know that.
We had to get rid of it.
No, you just move it to the Dillsboro.
So we had to go update it.
So do you want to keep that as a separate item, or you want to sort of combine that with the annual art contribution and
I'm
make it
gonna-
one
I'm
of
gonna-
the projects?
I just like 30,000 is a big number. So,
A 75. Including a signs on-
Put on there 30,000.
that's my one want.
Maybe we just get rid of this.
No.
Good, okay. Well, Coty bathrooms, I thought you would list that.
Oh, I thought that was almost a done deal. I thought we were already working on that.
I mean,
You
it's a
changed your mind last meeting.
right, so we left that, so I guess if it's something that's gonna cost money, and staff needs to plan for where that money's gonna come from, whether it be solely a staff decision or our board decision. That's gonna be something that.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because it needs, sorry, right, it was gonna be grant funded, it's no longer grant funded.
Right,
Yeah,
so we'll just do both, the Coty bathrooms and what you put 90.
95.
Yeah.
Okay. We have that, we have the continuing discussion on how to fund Bridge Park, but I think we have that a good handle on our plan going forward for that one. the additional cost of depot bathroom, surrounding infrastructure and landscaping, I don't know if we want to just combine that with that project or if that's a phase thing that happens the next year.
I put depot bathroom, landscaping and site work,
Okay.
and I don't know what our cost there, but we'll.
All right, that sounds good. I had on here that spot on Spring Street, ideas or a plan for the commitment. So that's been mentioned. We've talked about the need to redo our zoning map. So it seemed to be antiquated in some neighborhoods. And I guess that would be a consultant probably that would do that, or
Yes, and I got a $40,000 cost last year when I asked.
40,000, okay. It's that on there. Updating the pedestrian plan was one of mine on there.
I've got
I think we have that. And then the only other thing I have on here is just for the department heads. I mean, y'all already do a great job of this. It's good, kind of like foreseeing what sort of repairs are going to come up, but looking forward maybe a little further than we typically do to the years of 107 when we have a shortfall, to maybe prioritize some of those things earlier and just get them knocked out so we don't have surprises there. I mean, that really doesn't need mentioning that you want, because you do seem to be foreseeing those things. But if there's something the board is going to anticipate that they want fixed or repaired the next few years, I would move it up in priority. Well, we have all this sort of grant money, ARP funds floating around. The housing thing is the other thing I have on here. If that's really going to be a discussion after we know how much ARPA funds we have left and when we get a TDA grant for Bridge Park. So
You want it on here?
I don't think it needs to take up stickers, because I think it's just going to be, we're not going to know, I guess, how we can put that on here.
But wasn't Poteet going to be like ARPA funds if it wasn't?
But that was the idea. Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we don't know. That's all mine on here. Anybody else? Anything?
Are yours, Greg?
Well, that was good. One thing that I thought about, we talked about at some point, was a fund for betterments for 107. So there's the opportunity to have some like nicer streetlights like they have in the new bridge in Gilbert. Maybe some decorative elements to the new bridges, things like that. And I don't know if that discussion went anywhere. I can't remember.
We still don't know what they're gonna give us either, too, right? Isn't that like weight on the line? That's also like, I think we talked about that. That was like the very end. Like what, with the 107, the crosswalks but like, like Natalie mentioned that hearing impaired or visually impaired stuff. I think that's all at the end. So that wouldn't be till 27, but you're right, we're gonna put some money away ahead of time. And maybe that's.
We didn't do that last year.
No,
No, we
because
don't
it's so
put,
far out.
like 20,000 versus sidewalk. 20 or 30.
That's functioning how it is.
Everything?
For now, I guess, yeah. No, it's, I know, it always happens, you're just like there are limits. It's a human tolerances. Now the dots.
Yeah, how's the dots work? Yeah.
Doesn't matter. A dot equals one vote.
But it's like we each get different colors.
You get the whole sheet.
Yes.
So
Okay.
24 votes.
Because
Boom, right
last
here.
year we did this, and the year before we did it just online, right?
Because we were online, it was on
The first this year.
going back to dot. We used to do this.
I did this, my first year we did that, yeah.
you want to indicate your dots, you can write your first letter of your name on them. if you want to be more anonymous
Yeah,
about
that's
it.
fine. Yeah.
And then
Not a citizen.
we don't
Yeah.
adjourn until after, we don't adjourn.
What?
We don't adjourn it. Like we go do our best, then we go back and then we adjourn.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, and so the meeting is still gonna stream while you're doing this.
While we're
Got
doing
it.
it.
Okay. You need to put that piece of paper somewhere visible on the camera.
Extreme close-ups, I just. I mean, I appreciate this. It's more too, it's like, it's fresh back, it's like.
Yeah. The supply closet is hangers too.
All mine was down the wall.
If that happens.
Put all their dots on one thing.
It's a couple.
And then it's.
So the non-binary, you can schedule that for our next.
Yeah. March
Okay. And you hear where I'm coming through, it's like very much process, trying to like figure out, because it's a new thing. I'm trying to like, that's why I keep jumping in. Hey, well, this would be good for this, because it's so easy to get. These items of sessions.
Jason, we just.
Are you sure?
Asking her now. I think it's just not close to something that wouldn't cost. But. That's
Yeah, okay.
Is it automatically once you? Is it automatically? What's in focus? It just refocuses or?
Everyone that sees that knows that you're installing the picture.
Go for it.
Like that's some houses, or you kind of getting too full.
All right, come on.
Everybody's walking.
By yourself.
You're right. Hey. Stand there like this. Please, sir.
I will. Thank you. I'm surprised you did.
Oh, I know.
No.
But go last.
Put all of
A lot of parents there. So, okay. You got.
Right now.
So if you run out of space, put it on the title.
Okay.
Or, no, on the title one, because I'll still be able to see the title.
Well, it's important to also remain.
What's on your hand? During the budget for part.
Yeah, but we can maybe. Well,
if we were able to.
See, this is what happens to you, wind up just kind of going with that.
Maybe that.
Like it's such a. Peer pressure. I don't know. Yep. Oh, no, I got 3 more. I thought I was done.
Don't ever allow us to do that.
Yeah, well, I don't know, I mean, if it's funded by something else, then we go to the next one. It doesn't necessarily mean you go. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
County collects it, so they have to. But. Legislature. Yes.
Change one, I go back and say.
Okay. I'm doing great.
Okay.
Now.
Not drinking enough water today.
Well, it's not dead yet.
Make company.
I got a lot of. Someday you'll get it, and I'll be a page of the Sylva Herald if you land it. It would be a good photo op. The kids and everybody.
Take pictures with it. Especially vacations.
It'd have to be like a good pull off space.
I know, well, I mean, I think there's a.
Tell them.
Yeah, they're excited.
Who's what?
We have a musician, is to pick up a check for a month. Hopefully she'll cash it.
Oh.
It makes a lot of paperwork for us.
Oh, when it's just hanging around, yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Everybody voted?
I'm out.
Okay, that's it. My motion to adjourn. Okay, you need a motion? Yeah. I motion to adjourn.
What was in favor?
I.
All right.
Oh, yeah, we gotta vote.
Thank you all.
Thank you.